Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. What does that mean, Courtney?
It means it's hump day, guys. So hashtag hump over your hurdle and tackle what you've been putting off this week or this month so you can say it's done. Done is
Done,
better than perfect. Get it done.
done, and done.
Yes.
Right. Remember, guys, to like and share using the hashtag Force for Growth for your chance to win.
Yes, the Ultimate Relationship Program by Tony and Sage Robbins. And this is valued over $100 or around $100.
Around
It is a,
200.
around 200. Okay, yeah. This is an incredible program. Tony and Sage do a lot of just effective work in the relationship world. So whether you're single or not, this is just an incredible program.
Yes. So make sure you like and share for your chance to win the Tony Robbins Ultimate Relationship Program, sealed, brand new, shipped out to you for simply sharing this video.
Yes, hashtag Force for Growth. That's all you have to do is hit
That's
share and
it.
hashtag.
Oh man, baskets is right around the corner, Courtney.
I know. How are you feeling?
I'm
How's the
feeling
Leon household?
nervous. We'll talk about that here in a second. But big shout out to one of our sponsors, Stonebrook Pediatric Dentistry,
Yes.
located in the colony. The colony. We take Sebastian out there. This is Sebastian's dentist.
Is it?
It is. A Bushnick does a great job. They have it set up with murals on the wall, 125% kid friendly, amazing staff, great staff. And it's just so kid friendly. And he'll pull out this big toothbrush, this gigantic toothbrush to show the kids how to
Oh,
brush. And I'm like, man, that is a big toothbrush.
I love that. Well,
But
thank you for your support for Baskets Stonebrook.
yes,
Yes.
thank you,
Now,
Bushnick and Stonebrook Pediatric Dentistry. Now,
yes.
in relation to our topic, growing pains, Sebastian
Yeah.
lost a tooth last night. Like in the middle of the evening, he just lost a tooth. He was eating a sandwich and the tooth fell out and blood started squirting all over the place and he started crying. And obviously, Mama Jessie went up there and was able to calm him down on everything. But it occurred to me, I was like, wow, he is growing so fast. And that was a painful experience,
Yes. Our word of the week experience. Absolutely. Was that
right?
his first tooth or first experience where
No,
he,
he had lost tooth before, but I don't. But previously, it just kind of came out and
yeah.
bled for like a little bit. But this was like all over the place. He was freaking out. He was
Oh,
freaking out,
oh,
and yeah, it was good. It was good,
was
but
an experience he'll remember.
it was. But it occurred to me that every time that we grow, when we experience growth, there's the majority of the time some discomfort.
Hmm. Yeah. I
There's
think
discomfort when it comes to
absolutely
growth.
time there's some kind of discomfort because the only times there wouldn't be discomfort is when you're so desperate to change. Well, that means pain's been building over time if you're to that point.
Wait a minute,
But
say that again?
so I would say there's discomfort every time. And as I was saying that, th- there are occasions where maybe there's not some transitional discomfort. You're just done. You're just done over it. Close the door. It is sealed. But with that said, if you get to that point where you have that kind of leverage, there's been pain that's been stacking over time.
Yeah.
So the discomfort just came before instead of after. But this is a fascinating concept to me because I definitely see it in my life in that honestly old patterns are popping up, but
Or old teeth. We can
old
call them
teeth.
teeth.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. I like
The
that.
old teeth have to come out in order for
Yeah,
the new ones to pop up.
but it's not just the tooth coming out. There's going to be blood after. There's going to be, this metaphor can keep going. So I like to call it like the dodgeball team around the corner. And
Elaborate.
if especially when you make a decision or when you make a change, you're going to be tested. Like step 1 is the decision or the change. Step 2 is the test. So there's a dodgeball team around the corner. So you're going along like, oh yeah, I made my decision. I'm going to take this route. Well, that needs to be tested. that's the law of the universe. So basically, it's going to show up probably in, I don't know, your family questioning your new idea, or maybe some criticism from your haters, so you're going to be tested in some way that's asking you, are you really becoming what you're becoming? And it's a chance to practice that. And at least that's what I'm telling myself as I'm kind of going through this roller coaster of this season I'm in, because that's something I'm experiencing. It's just kind of old patterns and habits are creeping up, and that's making sense of it. Like I can see it clearly. I've made drastic change in a lot of areas. So of course those would come back up one more time and just give me that test, give me that trigger, since we are talking about the trigger journal a few days ago, and see how I handle it. And I've been pulled back to kind of old ways in some ways, but at the same time, I can see where my average has
Hold on,
changed.
hold
I
on. You
react
you
different.
said you've been pulling back. Have you
Oh.
been pulling back, or have you been pulled back? Because again, if we think about it with
Mm.
the Sebastian losing his tooth analogy, he can't put the tooth back in.
Yeah, that's true.
He can't
Great
put it. It
distinction.
doesn't go back in there. It's done because the other
And it's
tooth,
not meant
the
to.
other tooth, it's not meant to, and the
That's
other
another
tooth is
revelation,
already,
guys.
the other
Yeah.
tooth is already coming out, right?
Yeah.
So it won't go back in. No matter how bad you want it to go back in, it won't go back in. So
Its
if
job's
something is
done.
bubbling up, if growth is on the horizon, if something is coming up in your personal life and you're letting go of some junk, are you forcing it back in? And that's what's causing some discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that sums it up. Okay. Thanks
Because
for
it's
the
not
therapy
supposed to go
session.
back in.
Yeah. That hit me. That hit me right in the face. So I appreciate that distinction a lot, in that, thank you for the visual. Like it is funny. I mean, we've talked about the Kyle Cease example about like, if I think he said it like laying in a dentist chair. He also has a more vulgar example that we'll skip over. But basically, like, what if the tooth coming out, like the it's on a past podcast. If you can find that episode and hashtag it, we'll give you a prize. But basically, he's talking about like, what if the dentist took out a rotten tooth and you're like, oh no, what are we going to do with it? But the dentist has already taken it out by the time you can see it. So Kyle Cease teaches a lot, or what I've learned a lot from him is that you see, you're going to see it a lot when it's coming up and out. But just don't grab it and hold it forever and be like, no, you can't leave. These feelings are coming up to leave. They're coming up to be processed. They're coming up to go out. So allow it and let it go, and
Make room for
just
the new.
mark my words, it's not always easy. Trust me.
And it's going to be painful.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's
There's a lot
also
of pain
temporary.
involved.
So that's it's not forever. It's not forever. So I think our human brain is like, oh, this is how it's going to feel forever, and that's when we backtrack and fall into old patterns and habits that don't serve us. Or,
So,
in Bash's case, it's scary. He didn't, his tooth came out, there's blood. Like, what is going on? So it can just be fear creeping up too. And, in a child's brain, that's what was
so
happening.
let's break it down. Change happens, i.e., the tooth comes out. It's
Yes.
scary because there's blood and there's some discomfort and there's some pain and there's some stuff going on, right? The
Mm-hmm.
first instinct is to maybe stick it back in there to make the pain stop, which makes
Right.
sense.
Go back to normal. Get
Go
it back
back
to
to
normal,
normal.
right?
Get it back
But
to
normal's
normal.
changed.
Normal's changed. And then this is where you go into, okay, what can I do because the bleeding is an illusion. The blood is what looks scary, but in reality, it's not that bad.
Right.
But when you see blood gushing out of your mouth, it's kind of creepy,
Yeah.
right? It's scary. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? So that scares you, but it's an illusion. It's not real. Does this sound familiar, Courtney? Is this sounding familiar?
Yes. Yes.
So
I think it's all
the
the
next
same common theme.
the next thing is you have to do something to alleviate the illusion of pain. Gargle, spitting out the blood, washing it out, and eventually the blood stops. You see everything's okay, and you're happy.
Or in my case, or per Ricardo's advice, is certain old feelings that have crept up. Don't avoid them. I guess that's what I'm trying to say and sum it up. Don't avoid them. Let them process. They're popping up again for a reason. And we talk the Monday podcast with Michelle a lot about experience and learn it so it doesn't have to keep coming back up. But that's what we tend to do is push it down, push it down, push it down. Well, it's inevitable that it's going to come back up. Where else does it have to go? You can only hide from yourself for so long. So as you grow, as you get more skills, as you grow mentally, emotionally, you have more capacity to deal with emotional, mental issues that you've been pushing down, or maybe 10 years ago you did. So it's now time to deal with that because you're strong enough now. And so it's a trip. Like
It
I'm right in
is.
the middle of it. It is a trip. I will be honest and authentic, but I'm pleased that the growth that I'm experiencing, I've changed my normal. I've changed my average. And that doesn't mean those other things don't still exist and I'm not still dealing with them, but it's nice
It's
to
there.
be in a different baseline than I
So
spent years being.
I'm going through a growth phase myself with basket delivery.
Yes.
It's interesting because there's a lot of things that used to happen in previous years that would have fallen on me. And now we have a group of people that are constantly working on it. Jesse and Sophia and you and Grace and Tim and Anthony and Bertha and Tamara. And
We've got
I
quite
hope
the power
we
team.
got quite the power team out there working on stuff. And it's a little bit painful for me to realize that I'm not responsible for everything. It's a
Mm.
little bit like, okay, I'm not the sole person that's responsible for everything.
You're
And
not
that's,
responsible for, but are you responsible to us by starting this project?
oh, wow, that's interesting. But one of the discussions that Jesse had to bring up recently was like, hey, you can't just go buck wild and do whatever you want to the minute that you want to do it. We got people to talk to about this now. We're making the decisions as a collaborative, not in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And to
That's
me, I'm like, oh, okay. And for some reason, there's also a part of me that feels a little bit more pressure because before it would just be, okay, if however it turns out, however it happens, it's just me and Jesse, right? Because we did all the planning, so we're responsible. But now it's like, okay, the team's not going to fail.
yeah, we won't let
So,
it fail.
so there's like a little bit more. It's really weird, and I think this is part of the growing pain because there's more pressure, but I feel more relaxed about it.
That's a
It's a
good
it's a very weird conundrum that I'm experiencing right now.
a different combination of or chemical soup as Stacey would call it. But yeah, a different combination of emotions you have
It
about
really is.
something you're super, super passionate about. But yeah, that's a great example. So I can see it and tell him this because I'm outside of his head, just like he can give me great advice because he's not inside the tornado that's my head, sometimes. But you you're putting that pressure on yourself and just developing these slight fears in the background for yourself and Jesse, but really you're both being wildly responsible to so many people, not only everyone we're helping, but the board of the foundation that, look what we've grown into. We need a board because we're doing so many things that come together in this giant project. And so that's amazing where you forget that. I joke with friends that you can't give an accurate judgment of yourself. You don't know. You're only one-sided. I can because I can see your point of view. That's more
That's
a
good.
joke to get them out of their head, but break the pattern, as Tony Robbins would say. It does jolt people in the moment, but that's so you both are teaching all of us so much about how to contribute in an organized fashion. You're giving me personally a method to do it. I don't have my own foundation or charity, so having a mission that I can resonate with and jump on board and be a part of, like, that's an honor for me. So, and that's just one of the folks speaking, so it's beautiful because what I love about baskets, just to tell the world, is it's not just something where just donate your money. Thanks, guys. Like, talk to you next year. No, it's okay. If like there were years I didn't have money to donate, but I had time, so I showed up and gave my time. And, it's grown with me over the years, and or my help in it has just taught me a lot of growth of the years. So it's interesting, but that's a great example of how Ricardo's feeling the pressure of it. So he can't see all that right now.
Correct.
He
And here's the
can't.
interesting what just came to me whenever you were saying it, to go back to growing pains, is I have to get out of my own way in order for it to grow.
That's usually the problem with all of us.
I have to get out of my own way. I'm trying to put the tooth back in, going back to the tooth analogy with Sebastian,
Yeah.
right? I'm trying to put the tooth back in, and I shouldn't be trying to put the tooth back in, because I have to let go of all this stuff in order for these projects to grow, in order for the organization to grow.
Yeah. You're no longer responsible for it all,
Correct.
but you're responsible to an organization you both gave birth to.
Correct. And I think that's an interesting thought and an interesting concept, because it's like, it's just so uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, right. Am I really ready for it to grow? Am I really ready for it to expand? Those thoughts come into my head.
And it's out of your hands now.
But that's me trying to stick the tooth back in. That's me trying to put it back in there. When it's time for it to go, it's time for it to be released, and it's time for it to grow.
Yeah. And this, okay, an area I think of this a lot is like whenever people say like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. One thing with myself is I realize I'm robbing not only myself of today's greatness, I'm robbing myself of tomorrow's greatness. Because what if I'm meant to have this genius idea today to act on, to do something where tomorrow I wake up with a step 2, idea comes to me. So it's interesting. I've never thought, I'm hearing that and seeing that as I'm hearing you talk, because we are robbing ourselves not only of this moment's growth and what we're capable of building right now, but also tomorrow's.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole putting it off, or if you don't grow to your fullest every day, if you don't enjoy and experience your day every day to the fullest, essentially you are robbing later of something. It's that assuming that our future self has more time, or our future self will be able to better handle emotional or mental struggles, or our future self will have more confidence. No, your future self is now multiplied. So, and that I'm talking mostly to myself.
So how do we get out of our own way? For me, like if I go back to the basket analogy, and this method might not be for everybody, I have to get out of my own way up here in order to allow the organization to grow. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for me, it's just sucking it up. There's no strategy. There's no big how-to process. It's like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that I have Jessie here to set me back on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
That she is able to put me back where I need to be in order to let it go and get out of my own way.
Yeah. Okay, that plays into what I was going to say is how to get out of your own way would be to have somebody, a non-biased person in your life that can be real with you and be like, shut up, you're in your head again, get out of it, come back to me when you've figured out that. And okay, I have 2 people in my life. One is one of my girlfriends, and she is not scared to tell me what she thinks. And it's not always what I think, and it's not always similar to what I think at all, but I know she comes from a deep spot of love. So I will listen, take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't, but I will come back to hear it again, but I don't rely on that. The other friend I have is you. Because if ever just, how do I say this to the world? I joke, like, Ricardo's the best big brother I never knew I was going to get, so it's a very loving approach, but he doesn't put up with the BS. So I can start, on one of these like tirades, and he's like, stop. And so that kind of jolts me, and it gets me out of my head. So I don't know if that's a technique he does with everybody or just something in how my brain works, but whatever you have to do to get yourself out of your own head. It can be, or get yourself out of your emotions and back to
Mm,
the logical side. So I think that can go both ways, because sometimes we're so caught up in an emotion in a moment, like, this is how I'm going to feel the rest of my life. Yeah, if you stay there, if you build a house there, so where those moments bouncing back to logic would serve you. Whereas if you're only in logic and you're hiding from your emotions and, oh no, I can't, don't want to think about that or feel that right now, honestly, nothing is more important than you sitting down with yourself right now and just giving yourself some time to feel,
I really like
because
how
you're
you
really
said,
happy.
don't build the house there.
Yeah.
Because if you build the house there, that implies that you're there to stay long term.
Hmm. Yeah.
So don't build a house there.
Just keep going. Keep
Just keep
walking.
going. Keep
Yeah.
walking. Don't stop. Don't
Yeah.
even stop. Don't even stop to assess the land.
Yeah. That's kind of the 1% better to me. Okay, so we talk about our 1% better analogy. Like, that's a goal. I don't know where you heard that, Ricardo, but anyway, for years I've heard you say it, but just every day for the rest of my life, I want to get 1% better. And that's as simple as one foot in front of the other, So Tony
Yes.
Robbins people, 2 millimeters. You're not miles off your goal. You're just 2 millimeters off. So, and if you, let's bring that up. If you've never heard the Tony Robbins 2 millimeter, one, type Tony Robbins 2 millimeter into YouTube, and just there's so much good content there. But basically, a lot of us give up on our goals because we think we're so far off of it, when really we're really close. We were almost to a breakthrough. We just gave up because we gave in to
The pain,
the pain.
the
Yeah.
growing pains. Don't
Hmm.
give in to the growing pains. Take a minute. If you're just now tuning in, if you're tuning in late, we talked about Sebastian losing his tooth. Wash the blood off. Look at it for what it really is, and get down off the ledge and come back down to the reality that it's okay.
Hmm. And in the next few days, if not already, he'll see a bigger, better tooth growing in.
Well, the tooth fairy already came, so he was super excited with his $10. I
Man,
was
that's a
like,
generous
"What?
tooth fairy.
ten
Yeah.
dollars? Like, wow! Like, man, the tooth fairy must be doing really good to go from a quarter to ten
Right?
dollars." So he
Hey,
already got his reward. He got past the pain, got the reward, got the end goal,
got the lesson.
got the lesson, all that kind of stuff. So don't worry about it. Wash the
Mm-mm.
blood off and move forward.
Yeah.
Ah, growing
Yeah.
pains, Courtney. They're
I
not going to
know.
go away. They're not going to go away. That's the thing. I think that's the final thing that we got to wrap this up with, is
That's
saying
why I keep being like,
they're
okay, I'm
never
done with
going
all these
away.
giant lessons and
They're
slaps in the
never going
face. And
away. They're
no, because
never
I
going to go
vowed,
away.
we have all vowed to be better forever, right? Like,
Correct.
every day. So you're
But the
taking on
growing
a lot of
pains,
growth with that, but it has a lot of beauty behind it if you just let it process.
correct. And the growing pains just won't go away. All
Mm-mm.
right. So
Yeah.
real quick, I want to big a shout out to, where is my other thing here? Another one of our sponsors. You know this
Yes,
company,
I do. Royalty Insurance.
Royalty
Yes.
Insurance.
Do you want to talk about them or you want me to?
You go ahead.
Okay, so this is the agency that I am with, you guys, that I work with, that I joined my mission of just bringing insurance back home to integrity and value. That is the agency I choose to partner with, and I love them dearly. The agency itself, we've been running strong for 7 years. I've been with them 10 months, and Beth and Carlos both had their own agencies, and basically we're just a staff of folks who wanted to do better and wanted to be better. And so we focus on be better every day. The training never stops. And
Never
that's
stops.
honestly what I love about this place, is it never stops. And when I say I want to learn how to do this, okay, let's get it's just action Jackson. I don't know how to sum it up. But Royalty Insurance, so we are a Plano-based agency. We service all of Texas. We work with 30 A-rated carriers. We specialize in home and auto, of course, but as well commercial and financial services. And I'm your girl for both of those, commercial and financial services. So yes, and thank you to both Beth and Carlos for sponsoring us and our Baskets for Good mission for 2020.
And
They're all
here's
of
a
ours.
big shout out
Yes.
to all of our current sponsors. If you want to get up here on this list, visit basketsforgood.org or reach out to me and Courtney for more information.
Yes.
And we'll be talking a little bit more about PRMI in the next couple of days.
I'm excited to hear more
Ah,
on that one.
yes, that's our friends at PRMI,
Yeah.
Lending with Passion. All
Yes.
right. Remember to like and share the podcast.
hmm And hashtag Force for Growth for the Ultimate Relationship Program, Tony and Sage Design. And it is a phenomenal program valued at $200, over $200. And we are just like and share. Each time you like and share, I'm sorry, hashtag and share. Each time you share it, it's another entry. So there's no limit. And then for our audio listeners on Apple, if you'd be kind enough to leave us feedback in the review section, that is how you enter there. And thank you all for watching and joining us and growing with us because it's a journey.
It is a journey. We've had some growing pains in this podcast too,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
but
also
we're
been
here.
hugely therapeutic to
We're here
just,
and we're still chugging along and we're nonstop. So make sure you like and share. Keep us going.
yes.
Keep it going. Keep it
Yes.
going and help us grow this podcast beyond limits.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
thank you so
Absolutely.
much for tuning in, guys. And we'll be back on Wednesday with Freestyle Friday.
We will be back on Friday with Freestyle Friday.
What
He
did I
said
say
back on
Friday?
he said back on Wednesday with Freestyle
Oh, it
Friday.
is Wednesday. Yes, we'll be back on Wednesday. I mean,
Love that.
we'll be back on Friday with Freestyle Friday. Ah,
We'll figure it out by
we'll
then.
figure it out.
We promise.
Yes. All right, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you then.
Yes.
Bye.